Pro NoCoders Office Hours, episode 232. I'm your host, Cameron, and I am here today with Jay. Before we get started, just want to say if this is your first time tuning in, we do office hours 6 times per week, and we invite all of our members here onto our Zoom so they can ask their questions that are bubble related, features, problems, whatever it may be. We can't promise answers, but we do promise you won't suffer alone. And we like to think that we get it right most of the time. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Jay, what are we helping you out with today?
A rejects problem.
Gotcha. Okay.
Let me share my screen. Pablo helped me with this on Monday. But it turns out that there's a little bit of a bug.
Ooh. Okay.
Let's see, which screen am I? Share. Okay. Can you see a screen that's a bubble screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So here is a database of users, and I'm operating as the admin, and you can see right now I am this person. Okay, and here's the problem.
Okay.
So I want admins to be able to invite users, but the user's domain should be the same as the admin's domain, so they can't invite someone from outside the company to use the system.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so the problem is that although it works fine when it's one word in the domain, it doesn't work fine when the name of the company is something that is 2 words, like this one. It doesn't strip out the space, I suppose. How it's working right now is like this. There is a group down here called Group Regex. I'm saying that wrong. And then the data source for it is this, and there's an extract, and there is the regex expression.
Gotcha. Okay. Yep.
Okay, so there's something wrong with the expression. And I've Stack Overflowed it, and I've Googled it, and I'm not coming. I don't know how to put this, strip out the space message in there.
Okay. So this works, like you were saying, with 1 word, but when we have 2 words, then it becomes a little bit of a problem. Can you show me what you're dealing with right now, like a live example?
Yes. So that's 2 words in the company name, but here it's, the domain is 1, and then you get an invalid email.
Okay. So we're taking this text that we're typing in, and we're trying to compare it to a record with that business name, right?
Yes, and the record is the current user's company. So right now I'm Haleli, and my company is Recorded Insight.
Okay. I'm thinking that maybe that the regex isn't itself bad. I think that we actually might be able to work with that. It might be the way that we're comparing that information, where we need to take the person's company, remove the white space, and then if that white space, or if that company, when with the removed white space, compares to that regex, then accept it. Okay. So it would be a step before we actually compare it in this case. It'd be a step before we compare it with the regex. So yeah, like I was saying, I think that the best way to do it is to take that person's business or the company name, remove the white space, and then have it look at the regex from what the customer entered or the user entered.
Okay.
Let's see. So to remove white space, I think it's /W. Let me take a look real quick at my.
And this would be happening on the workflow or the page?
This would be happening on the workflow. So it would look at that user's, and this works. So the admin is sending these invites, right?
Yes.
Okay. White space is actually /S. So one of the things that we could do is just do a find and replace, where we're looking for space and then we replace it with nothing. So it should just delete it then. Here, I'll see if I can open it up on my end. I'm going to create a new page called regex test. I'm going to draw an input. And so let's say, and do you mind taking that regex email code that you have in your account and posting that in the Zoom chat so I can just throw that in there real quick? I'm going to take my user. I'm going to add a company name. It's going to be 2 words.
Okay, it's in the group chat.
Amazing. Thank you. I'm actually going to do 4 words to see how crazy that we can get this.
That'd be great, because a lot of times it would be 3 words. Something, something corporation, you know?
Yep, totally. There's always the chance that it could be greater than that. Also, Sebastian, hey, I saw that you joined. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so when we click this.
Hi, I had to unmute, yeah.
Okay, so we have this regex here. We're gonna, so for this example, I'll just create a new thing, not send an email or anything, just create a new thing. And we'll say, okay, so we need some logic here. We need to implement.
Should we switch? Should you be sharing your screen?
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that here. Make this a little nicer to look at. So the idea here is when we go ahead and enter in the email, so this is the email here. This is what I'm going to be testing, 1-click bulk upload.
Okay.
So we're trying to take this 1-click bulk upload from this user, which would be here. And before we actually submit it, we want to compare this value to then this domain value, right?
Yes.
That's the idea.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm thinking when we click it, we'll create a new test email. So right here for you, it would say if button clicked only when current user's company. Let's do find and replace. I think that's probably going to be better. We're looking for all spaces and we're going to replace with nothing. Is input tests value for oops. I want to do an extract right here. Name find and replace contains this value. It says contains, maybe not the right. Where's username and field? So finding and replace all the spaces. We're going to remind then is that's the value. Well, what the heck? Okay. This is going to be, I'm trying to think of like, this is going to be sort of weird the way that it may work. Values changed. Input test values changed. We want to. We don't want a yes or no. We want it to give us the option of being able to actually. So let's do input tests value, extract with regex. First item is current user's company. Well, it is so strange how it doesn't give us the option to compare it with a regex. So, or with any kind of find or replace or regex. But right now we're just looking at the value. We're taking the regex that you had applied. The first item is the current user's company name, right? So because we're not given that option, which is a bit silly, and of course, there's probably some way to actually manipulate this data before it's even passed into this only when to actually truly be able to accomplish what we're trying to do. But I'm thinking that we could also have a secondary field where it would be company name truncated, where we actually, when the user enters their company name on the back end, let's say we have like another field. This is just like one kind of solution that we could approach, that minus white space. And Ben just joined us. Perfect. And we could do this on the back end, where when the user enters this information, because if I had to assume the user enters their information, correct? They're going to enter their company name
At some point early on, yes.
Okay, perfect. So during that onboarding flow, there's always the possibility of doing something similar to that, where that's exactly what we're trying to do is when we set it up, it strips all of the white spaces using regex or find and replace. Even we could go ahead and take that find and replace function that we had, where we have it finding a space and then we replace it with a nothing. So this logic should be, we're looking at the value, we're taking the email and we're saying, yep, this domain is the current user's company's minus white space. And in the event that this happens, we'll go ahead and be able to create a new test email with input test value. That's just, and this is of course just a sort of example that, I mean, I guess, logic for logic might not apply to your app, but at least the concept will. So let's try this out. And I have no confirmation or anything on my end to actually show me whether or not that worked, but we did create a new thing, and this thing that we were creating was called test email. So in our record, we should be able to find. And again, like I said, with you, you're going to be sending an email. I'm just creating a thing in the record or the database to see. Let's do a step-by-step. I don't think I'm running it as my current user. That's probably why. Do a step-by-step to see what just happened. Step-by-step. So this is the value. This is what we're able to extract. It is case sensitive. That's going to be definitely something there. I know that regex is case sensitive. I recently built Wordle. I built a Wordle clone, and I discovered that it was very case sensitive. So what I ended up doing is I actually used the uppercase function that Bubble gives us to make everything uppercase, and then my regex always searched for all uppercases. But we are looking for test emails. And so I did click it. Again, there's no real confirmation that it shows, but it was successful in that it was case sensitive, and it did look for that white space or stripped record that we had already.
Was when you had extract with regex, was that, can you click on that? Can we see that?
Oh, right here.
That's the one that I gave you. Okay. All right, I want to take the screen back if you don't mind and just ask a couple questions.
Yes, absolutely. Do it for sure. Go ahead and stop sharing for you.
Okay, so if I do that, which makes a lot of sense to me, in that case, I won't need this group regex down here on the page to store the variable, because nothing needs to happen here. Then when I'm clicking here and I go to workflow, then I don't need this either, but I can make this expression that can replace this expression. Wait a minute, not quite, but closer, right?
Yeah, from what I'm understanding, it definitely closer. I'm not sure if it would exactly replace it. So let me just make sure I'm understanding this correctly. This is looking at, oh, I see that you use the lowercase function. That's brilliant, since it is case sensitive. So we're looking for the user or the current user's company name. And in this case,
can end up being company's name truncated.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so again, that would all be done sort of on the onboarding process, where when that user enters it, then you perform that function. And
then this should work the way it is. And then I don't need this.
That's correct. Yep. Mhm.
Okay. And then everything else is just normal. So really all I'm changing is, well, that didn't stick for some reason, but that's all I'm changing.
Is the company's name truncated? Yeah, just the
Yeah.
record that you're comparing to.
There it is. Okay. All right. That is great. Let me play around with that and see if I can break it.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
answer is
definitely.
probably yes.
No worries. That's all. That's what bubbling is. No worries.
Thank
But
you
I'm
for your
glad.
help. That made a lot of sense.
Awesome. Glad that I was able to help you out there. Sweet, sweet. I'm going to take a moment. We're going to step to Sebastian. I know Sebastian had some questions. Sebastian, you there?
Sorry, I had to unmute.
No worries.
Sure.
So I did want to take a couple moments, and if well, let me ask first. Is this regarding what you had sent me a video of yesterday?
Yeah, we could discuss that, or we could take that afterwards. I have questions. I asked you for a half an hour afterwards at 8 o'clock, but
Sure.
we can take these questions now and other questions afterwards. It doesn't matter really. So
Cool.
if
Well,
you
whatever
think
you're
it's
comfortable with, just ask me whatever you want, and I'll help you out. No worries.
yeah. Okay. Well, let's start there then. What we ended up with lastly.
Okay. Yeah.
mhm.
So you had sent me a video, and you said Tanya told you to use a repeating group versus what you and I were
Yeah.
doing, where we were just sort of constructing one button and then another button and then another button.
Yeah.
And so if each button required two different events, definitely very quickly, all 12 of your emotions would make the back end really messy.
Yeah.
So Tanya said, let's use a repeating group. And Tanya's absolutely right. We should use a repeating group. What we're going to do in this repeating group is we're going to search for your option set where you would have your emotions. In this case, I'm using something called activity. And I'll show you. My activity is running, skating, and swimming. We can actually make this a little bit more readable. The activity is a text. And so probably very similar to yours. We just go ahead and say that the type of content is that activity OS and the data source is that activity or all activity OS. Now, the logic that we implemented where we clicked on a button and then made any kind of changes, it's going to be really, really similar. But the cool part is when I go to this workflow, you're going to see that there's only two for all of them. So it's the exact same where if it's no, we're going to set the state of that button so we can actually have the value, the color, the background change. And then we're going to create an enabler. If the team's current team and label of whatever they click is 0. So if it doesn't exist basically for that team, for that emotion, we're going to create a new one. And then if it does exist, same thing. If it does exist, if a team name is there and the customer's or the label, I'm sorry, is there, then we're just going to take the value of that enabler that we're referencing. We're going to take the value and we're going to add 1 to it. And so we're also changing it with this parameter here. So all the parameters are pretty much the same, where the team is that user's team and the label is whatever button they just clicked. And then similarly, for if it's yes, we're going to take away that value using the same constraints. And we don't have a conditional down here because our conditional is set up here. So let me go ahead and show you. And then also I did include this vote button similar to yours, where when they actually click vote, the graph will then show up. We'll just go ahead and start that now just to show you that there's nothing in these enablers. But if I click running, then running it actually adds. If I click skating, skating should add, and then swimming similarly. Let me see why that is not working. If we go to our enablers. Oh, because I did something really weird last night where I was messing with date ranges. I don't know why I was, but I was having fun. Let's see here. Got to actually show this chart. got carried away last night. I was just looking at date ranges. I was like, oh, that would be fun to learn how to master. To figure dates and everything are, I mean, they're everywhere. Thinking if like I wanted to create like an Airbnb app. Okay, but there you go. So let me go ahead and refresh this. I should be able to delete these and then show you real time. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We'll click that vote button so we actually have the graph. No, we're actually just going to always show us because I don't know why it's being weird. Let's see why that's not working. Create a new enabler for swimming. Cool. Oh, there we go. Perfect. We take away running. Let's restart. Let's delete all these things. And again, I just want to make sure that we're not searching for any date ranges. Okay. I must be taking crazy pills. It's always visible on page load. Searching for enablers where it says team 1. And I wonder, is it again because I'm not on that current user? No, I am. Okay.
So it's collecting the data, but it's not showing the graph. No, it does.
I had to refresh it. Okay, very strange. I'm trying to figure out, let's get rid of this conditional here. Let's just say that this is always visible on page load. That did remove that event there. Okay. Search enablers, team, cool. And again, we'll go ahead and delete these, start off fresh. And I'll double check this by running it as me with that team. And I bet if I refresh it, it'll show up. I don't want to refresh it though. Why is that happening? Go ahead and add it back. I know bubble can be weird sometimes with that. Okay, there we go. Really strange. Let's see if it actually shows up this time when we delete those again. And it may have been because we had 2 of those pages open. Which I know, again, bubble can be pretty weird if we have multiple instances of the same page open. So it works on a step-by-step. It looks like it's happening too fast. What? Does that make any sense? That is very, very strange. So now we have a new thing on our hands where we got it to work at least, you know, conditionally, where we can go ahead and remove these values. But now the graph only wants to show on page refresh.
Mhm.
We should not have any conditionals showing that it's not to load. It should always load. But I'm going to just be super redundant here. And let's show this line chart, even though it says that it's available on load. We're just going to be super redundant here. So it did just show that we created these labels. And then on the page refresh. Huh. Well, I'll tell you, last night this wasn't happening. What in the heck? We don't really need that. I wonder, Ben, you're watching here. Do you have any weird thoughts that maybe why this is happening?
I totally zoned out. Sorry, dude.
Oh, dude, no worries, no worries.
What's the go?
We just have this chart looking for certain data that we're creating.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates it. All the data is created on the back end here. In fact, I'll show you here what's going on. We'll refresh it. And so this chart is looking for that data, but when we click it, the chart doesn't show up. And then when we refresh it, now the chart shows up.
It's not even giving you that thing up the top that says refresh. It's just, you have to do it. That's weird.
It's very strange. And we don't have any states or anything on any of our data. Apart from, of course, the button click, if it's yes or no. We're searching for enablers where the team equals the current user's team.
Yep.
I wonder if this conditional is throwing it off. Which of course is required, it is necessary, but I wonder if maybe that's why. No, it doesn't seem to be the case.
Is it that chart? Because I know those charts aren't great.
Yeah.
It could be this chart. I definitely have more experience using the Apex charts, as I was telling Sebastian. But let's take this enabler. Let's copy that. Let's take the chart that we were using. Oh, not that one. What type of data is going to be enabler? See if that changes anything, where we actually change the data source to enablers. Huh, it's still not updating. That is the weirdest thing. It absolutely should be.
And the data is updating on the click.
Yeah, it's updating right here. And what's even weirder, watch, I'll show you this. So let's restart. Let's go ahead and delete these values. Let's go ahead and do a step-by-step. And typically a step-by-step works. Very weird, right? Where the step-by-step is showing that it actually creates, versus a normal, we click it, swimming should show up, but it does not. Well, we've encountered a bubble bug. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's weird. That's super weird.
Yeah, because just last night, it was working perfectly. And then as of this morning, didn't change any of the logic or anything, and then it broke. Huh. Well, I know, Sebastian, you came here for answers, and you're probably going to leave with more questions. I'm going to be completely honest.
A bug report yet, Sebastian?
No.
If you check the vault on the Pro NoCoders side, there's a walkthrough on how to submit a bubble bug. I would definitely do that for that.
Yeah, because this is how you do it. I mean, with the repeating group, you have your repeating group looking at the option set for your emotions in this case. And then on that button click, you have one that says no and one that says yes, depending on, of course, if it's been clicked or not. And then you just follow the steps if it's been created or if it hasn't been created. But yeah, that's how you'd set it up. And this would definitely make it more efficient for you from your standpoint. That's why Tanya definitely recommended that repeating group initially. But we went through this a little bit fast while also trying to figure out why the graph wasn't showing up. Do you have any questions about this?
No, I think it was quite fast. I probably would need a video or to take it a little bit slower. But that could be fine.
Okay, if you want, I can go over it another time with you right now. I'll just
sure.
Just show you step by step exactly what we're doing, just real quick. So we start off with a repeating group. We're going to draw a repeating group here, and you're going to have it set to whatever many rows and whatever many columns. But inside this repeating group, inside the first cell, we're going to be adding a button. And that button's value is going to be whichever emotion. So whichever is, in this case, it's going to be an emotion option set, and then whichever emotion that you assign to it. Just to show, of course, the value of it. And then when we click it, It's going to be very similar to the logic that we set up a couple days ago, where if the button clicked is no, then we're going to go ahead and set the state to yes for that button. We're going to create an enabler if no other enabler exists. And what I mean by that is if no other enabler where the team equals the team and the label equals whichever emotion that we just clicked. So this will say helpful or happy. So if helpful or happy doesn't exist inside our database, then we're going to create that one. What we'll add to it, it's going to be that enabler. So using the same constraints where we're looking for that team and whichever button's emotion we just clicked. We're going to take the first item because we have to specify we're looking for that one. There should only be one unique item for each of these labels. We're taking that value and then we're adding 1. And just to show you that the value here, I've set it in my record. This is just, it's a numerical input. It should represent the total amount of, well, I guess the score that all the users will submit. And so we have a condition on here, like I said, where if it doesn't exist, if these conditions for this enabler equal 0, then it creates it. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're searching for the exact same thing, the enabler where that team equals that team and the label equals that emotion. We're then going to go ahead and add the value to this enabler. Again, same parameters, this team and that emotion. We're taking its value and we're adding 1. And we're specifying that down here only when the count is 1. And there should only ever be one enabler per emotion per team. And we're specifying that down here, right here when we create it. So there should only be one.
There should only be one value for one enabler for one team.
Yeah, there's only going to be one value for each enabler. That's correct, per team. Yep, that's the way that it's currently set up.
That's true. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, but the value can be higher if several participants vote for one button. That's specific. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. That's the way it'll work.
Yeah. Cool.
And then
you could. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you have a question?
Yeah. Now take that next button first.
Yeah, and this is just the opposite. So if it's been clicked, which we specified here, so we turn it to yes. So if we click it again, because now we know that that button state is yes, we're going to submit or we're going to change that state to no. And then we're going to subtract that value. And again, the enabler that we're modifying is the one which has this team or the current user's team and the emotion that they clicked.
Yeah.
And so instead of having 24 separate buttons per emotion, we only have 2 using the repeating group.
Great. Could you just show me the design again and the appearance on the, so it's the type of content and the data source it's a what do you call it? An open
the option set.
Option set, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I look at OS and I get confused too.
Yeah, I have a short term for that. That is OS. Okay, cool.
Yep, that's how you're going to do
it. Great.
Don't know why, again, this chart isn't showing up. This is a definitely newer bubble bug. Because I said like last night it was working. This morning it decided that it doesn't want to. But you can see it real time here. If we're clicking it and the graph is already loaded, then we'll be able to add and we'll be able to subtract. Not a problem. So
I think for my usage, I will probably have a manager who when everybody who voted, they will press a button to show the result, and then it would probably I would do a workaround where I would set the stage to show graph.
Yeah, absolutely. Like and one of the ways that I'm thinking you could do that is on the team record, you could have a list of users that clicked yes. And when all of the list of users clicked yes equals the amount of list of users, then that graph will show.
It's a problem though if someone is at the loo at the toilet.
True. Yeah.
True.
Definitely something that you'll have to think about. But then also if you add maybe like an admin override where the admin can
Yeah.
always show the graph. Something like that would work too.
So yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, so that's how you're going to set it up, and that's how it's going to display.
Yeah. Cool.
Perfect. Sweet. I'm going to hop over to Ben real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Sweet. Ben, you have any questions for us today? Oh, Ben left. Okay, cool. Not a problem. Jay, were you able to get that thing hopefully running?
I don't know yet. I have to make some changes on the onboarding.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to test all that. I'm going to redo that whole page anyway. So that's
okay. Cool.
Good. Now I got to pay attention to that. So I won't know
Gotcha,
until next week.
Okay, cool. And then yeah, just let me know if anything changes or anything of the sort. I'll be here to help you out.
Okay, great.
Amazing, sweet. You have any other questions instead of that one?
I'm good.
Wicked, awesome. We're gonna hop back to Sebastian. Then Sebastian, you said that you did have other questions as well. What's going on? What can I help you with?
Should be a nice, easy Friday for you then.
It seems like it. Yeah,
Only
I like
140.
that. Yeah, the week is about to start.
Yeah. Have any one of you tried the Sava login?
Have I tried? What is that? Implement like a login system?
The Sava login. It's a login with password without password. SAW.
I'll look it up right now.
It was Savo. It was quite easy actually. It's so they don't store any password because they claim that it's more safe not to store any passwords. So basically, it connects the email or the telephone to the specific computer.
I've used Coder before. Coder is pretty similar, where it's passwordless authentication. Sends the person an email, and then they click the email, and then they're logged in.
Yeah.
So I have used that before. I've never used this particular plugin. Is this what you're using?
Yeah. I started implementing it, but so I have a question regarding the logic and the login, and it's connected to Sava, but we can start with the specific login first.
Yeah, if you want to share your screen.
Yeah. So this is the app. I have company. I have team in each company. I am the admin. Mm-hmm. And I have an admin page that looks similar to this, where I add a company, I add their logo, I add their PowerPoint background. I can add team managers, team owners, or workshop leaders, or whatever you want to call it. And I can see them and all of that. So that's one thing. And when they are invited, I try to use the slug in order to connect them to the company. So when they are invited, I don't know if that's the correct way of doing it, but that's how. So they get an email. If I click here, they get an email with a slug that connects them to a specific company page. Mm-hmm. And then they log in, and then they have no, this is the admin page, sorry. Then they get a manager page where they fill in the team goals, something that will be shown in the workshop. They set the time for the workshop, they choose a personal check-in question, they invite participants, team members, and then they send an email with a slug to the specific team member. So, but I don't know how to connect the team member to the company and to the, I mean, I guess it's not super complicated. I just don't know how to do it. And yeah, it's an open question. What ideas do you get?
Yeah, so to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly, what we're trying to solve right now is when we send an email to somebody, they're going to click on that email, the button that says like start or sign up or whatever. And we're trying to get them to sign up for whichever link or whichever slug is included in that email. Is that correct?
I think, yeah, that is already solved. But how do I get the team?
Well, if you don't mind,
when the manager sends an email, I understand how to get them to sign up to that specific team, but how do I connect that team to the specific company in the same time? I have something here that I got help with from Juan here. When the sign the user up, current page team's team name, and current user, and then so in this way it's connected to the team. If I have the team in the slug, but I don't know how that is connected to the company.
Okay, so what we're going to need to do, and we could do this in two ways from what I'm thinking, is when the manager sends the email, we could include perhaps another value inside that URL that's looking at the company name, or we could just automatically create a record that would associate that team name with that company. So when email's clicked and we specify whichever team it is, we automatically add that team to the company. When you're sending that email, do you specify which team we're going to be sending? Is there like a drop down where you can say, I want to select team 1 or team 2 or anything of that sort?
The team manager is always the owner of the team.
Okay, and the team manager, the owner of this team, is there anywhere already where it's specified that team is under that company? Do you have any logic? Oh, so there's no logic that associates that team with that company?
No.
Okay, so under company, we would want to add a record that would, it'd be a list of teams, I suppose, is the best way to go about that. Where exactly as it is, where we have team, list of teams, and then the field type would be a team, assuming that we have, I see the record team. Yep, so we're gonna just add team list, perfect. And so now somewhere in your logic, somewhere inside this, we need to go ahead and now actually add the team to the business. And so that could be when the team is created. Yeah. Because there has to be somewhere where the team is created.
Yeah, and that is when I as a manager, when I as an admin, I first create the company, then I add teams managers. So here I choose a company, and then I can add one team, or I want to bulk upload a list of managers.
Gotcha. So right now it looks like this logic is set up to where we're just adding them to a company in this case, where we're able to choose the company. So another field set or another field that needs to be added there is going to be more than likely, you have the option of doing a drop down. You have the option of making it a manual typing field, but somewhere that we're able to specify what team that user is going to be added to.
Yeah. And what is the team should be a team name. It could also be a random ID number.
You absolutely could. And the way that you do that is you would have some logic that says when this team, so you'll create a team if the user count is below a certain amount. And then if the user count is not below a certain amount, you'll then create a new team, if that makes sense. So Yeah, there's definitely multiple ways to go about how we're going to add a team or create a team. You can specify constraints such as the team name will be the count of teams. So like team count, which start with team 1, then team 2, so on and so forth. And then you'll also need to incorporate some logic there that just stipulates how many people are allowed inside a team before a new team is created.
Yeah, but because I don't need to do that, because it's I mean, a team is a department sort of. So some teams can be 50 people, some teams are 10 people or 5 people. It's dependent on the company, and they're allowed to have as many users in each team as they want to. It doesn't matter for me. But I like I like the idea with the number. So the team name could be, for example, the company name plus 0 and a number. So for example, add secure 1, add secure 2.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking would be the best approach to that.
Yeah. And what? Yeah. And then I would exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, what are you thinking about?
How do I do it?
That's fair. So we have teams. And one of the things in this field that you have that says team, you're going to be manually entering that team name. It looks like that's what the field is there. So you could then add. So we'll do list of teams.
Yeah.
And then add that team's value, input team's value, I think is where we're at. So up a little bit.
Yeah.
Input team. Yeah, there you go. And then click on more. I think it's going to be first item.
Okay.
Oh, no. What's the error that's coming up? Is there so do me a favor, in the top right hand corner where it says 25 issues, we want to find the one issue that is saying that it's associated with the admin page. And it looks like we have a couple. So now we just need to figure out what that error message is saying. So we should be entering a team, not a text value. That's why. Because in our records, we're adding a list of teams. So we want to make sure that the list of teams isn't a text value, rather it is a team. So there's 2 ways that I would go about this, or there's one way that I would go about this. I would, on that admin page, have another section where the admin's able to create teams. And so then I would take this team value field and I would actually turn it into a drop down. So we're able to select which team we're going to be wanting to add. So somewhere on this page, we actually want to allow the admin to create a team. And then on this field, we want to allow the admin to be able to select which team this member is going to be added to.
Couldn't we just have a drop-down list of 1 to 100 or something like that, and then because I would add 1 team each. Like, what if I have a list where I add teams? What type of teams would I add?
So. I'm trying to think. I mean, like I said earlier, we could have, well, no, because you said there could be sometimes people with like 50 members inside a team.
Yeah. But if I do a mass upload, if I skip this part and just upload with a CSV, where I upload a list of emails to managers, and they are all connected to a company, and they are randomly given a team each. So or in that CSV file, I have a team name, an individual team name for each.
Yeah, I mean, if you do a bulk upload,
Yeah.
inside that CSV, you're right, you would need a value field where it specifies the team name.
Yeah.
So I imagine then in that case, well, you'd be creating the team name yourself in that CSV
Yeah.
file. So that's a very
Yeah.
manual process.
Yeah.
Where then on the uploaded invite, when we're sending that email, that would then specify, of course, the company and the team name, like you were saying earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So the main issue that we're running into right now is how we add a team to a company.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in truth, like I said, I think one of the better ways that you're going to be able to do it, especially since in that CSV, you're going to be manually entering a team name regardless. I think that we should also incorporate the same kind of idea here on this admin page where we have a value field for the admin where he's going to be manually entering that team name.
Yeah.
And so what we would do is we draw a new field.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for what you just deleted, we would use a dropdown. Mm-hmm. So replace it with a dropdown.
And so forth. Is that the right way to do it?
If we want to set a static amount from 1 to 10, so we will always have at maximum 10 teams. This is how you would do it. Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah. Then I can add it more later if I want to. Okay. List of teams.
So because what we added wasn't a list of teams, rather it's just going to be a list of text, it's not going to allow us to actually add that value. So one of the ways that we can then fix this is by that list of teams record that we've added. We can go list of teams inside our record and change it just to a text instead of a list of teams.
Yeah. It's strange that you can't change.
Yeah, I wish you could change the record value too. And so now when we actually send this out, we select whichever team we want them to and then click invite. Automatically, it's going to create that team or assign that team rather to that invitation.
Cool. Great.
Yeah, sweet.
Fantastic. Sweet.
Awesome. Jay just said she had to go. Bye, Jay. She left.
Bye, Jay.
But cool, yeah, just you and I. We can go ahead and conclude office hours here, and then we can start a 30-minute meeting if you'd like.
Sure.
All right, cool. I'll go ahead and share my screen just for the sign off here. Let's go back here and then share screen. All right, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to watch this office hours episode today. We are going to wrap office hours up and we're going to move over to our after office hours where our members that are on the office hour tier are allowed to, of course, join us with any questions, problems, or anything else that might be sensitive that they don't want to share publicly. So until next time, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and we'll